Hi, welcome to Bright Hope Creations. I'm Kara, and today we're taking a snapshot of a midnight dragon ride. So we're using Little Dragon, Tiny Fairy Tale, Starry Sky Stencil, Puffy Cloud Backdrop Landscape, and just a little bit cut with the camera of Pixie Dust cardstock, parts of the Magic Iris camera add-on, and the pull tab add-on. And here's the camera in mermaid cardstock and the Magic Iris, 3 of the rings in white, 1 cut with a flux capacitor, 3 stabilizers, and 3 sausage pieces in black licorice, a shimmer cardstock panel in Tropical Pack, and this is pieces from the Build a Castle in both Peacock and Mermaid, and then Pixie Dust for the flags. And this is from Build an Aquarium, also in Mermaid cardstock. So I'm going to begin by ink blending with some life-changing blender brushes in Faded Jeans, Chip Sapphire, and Black Soot Distress ink. And I realized that it would be easier to keep that circle in the center with a piece of tape on the back. So I wanted it inked up the same way as the rest of the camera because it will be behind the camera. But when the iris is open, I want to be able to see a consistent look to the whole scene. So I'm going back and forth, layering mostly between Black Soot and Chip Sapphire, kind of giving it a dark blue, black sky, and fading it down towards the bottom to the mermaid color. So sort of an ombre look. And then once I have that all blended the way I want, I'm taking the Starry Sky stencil, and I'm going to use that with just a regular basic modeling paste, and I'm going to put that to the side, squirt a little out, and I'm taking some Lawn Fawn Prisma glitter, and I'm going to add it to that modeling paste, and I'm going to kind of smash it in there so that it's all together. And I just started with a little, but you'll see I add a lot more to the side because I realize I'm going to need more to get all around that camera and on the back panel. So now I'm just pulling it all across the camera, and I don't need it really at the bottom, so I'm focusing more on the top 3/4 of the camera, and there it is. And now that I have that done, I still have enough paste, and I'm going to spread it around my back panel. Now, again, this is the shimmer cardstock. It's the blue or the aqua color from the Tropical Pack. So I realized at the end that I really only needed to go around the edges because the rest of the panel will be covered with the camera. So once I realized that, I kind of focused there, and there it is. And I'm going to set those two to dry, and meanwhile we'll put together the Magic Iris. I changed out my white cardstock for black licorice on those rings, and so it's a matter of putting the 3 sausage pieces in those slits on the piece that has the cutouts, and I'm using the 3/16 inch glue dots and putting them on. There's a little X on each of those sausages, so I'm putting that glue dot right on top of that X and then placing another ring right on top. But I want to make sure that my sausage pieces are all aligned up with the ring, and then I can put that piece on top. So slip in those sausage pieces, put on the dots, and set a ring on top. Then I can flip the whole thing over and put on the stabilizers. The die that cut the holes also created marks to indicate where to put the stabilizers, but since it's black licorice, I thought I'd show you them in a white gel pen so that you could see where I'm going with this. I put on some adhesive all the way across and put that stabilizer right to the edge of the curve on the inside of the circle. Now I have those on there. I can flip it back over, and I'm going to put the camera add-on pull tab to the right of one of the stabilizers, which creates a V between them. And now I'm just placing a ring right on top, putting some adhesive on those stabilizers, and I'm going to bend them over, and not too tight. I'm not going all the way to the end this time of that ring. I'm just going sort of near the stitching line, just keeping it loose so that the iris can work. Now it's time to stamp out the images. So the little dragon and the princess from Tiny Fairy Tale with jet black ink, and that is Copic friendly. So I'm just stamping that on my Misty several times, and it's time to start coloring. So I'm going to focus just on that dragon. And there are so many color combinations that I could have used, but I'm going to go with a aqua and purple dragon today. I'm deciding which areas I want purple with the V01. And so his wings and horns and a bit of his tail and then his tummy. And then with a BG11, I will do whatever's left so that he's mostly going to be an aqua colored dragon. I'm going to find the shadows now with a BG13, and it's a nighttime scene, but I'm going to decide that the moonlight or the starlight is shining on him so that it's brightest on the upper right. But you know, with this scene, it doesn't matter where you go with those shadows. So I think what I'm really focusing on is giving him some shape, because he's rounded, and that's what I want to do, is show that he's rounded. All right, well, this is the BG23, and I'm blending out from that BG13 with that, and I'm just kind of speckling the color on, so little dots to bring it out towards the lighter color, and also adding some to those wings and just to make it look like he's all one. And then speckled on with the BG11, and now finishing up with the BG10 on the very lightest parts, trying to just blend it in a little bit more. Now I can come in with that V17. This is going to be my darkest of the purple colors, and give him some texture, some shadow on the purple areas, and also just show that there's some kind of scaly look going on there. Blend that out with the V12. I'm just going to continue to bring down that dotted look, or bring it into the center of those purple areas. And then I will do the same thing with the V15, and that will bridge the gap between the dark and the light, so between the V17 and that V12. Now with the B34, so a blue color, this is kind of the way I'm going to bring those two colors together. So right now they're very separated, and I want them to look like he was meant to be both aqua and purple. So this B color, this blue, kind of helps me to do that. So I used a B34, and now I'm bringing that lighter with the B32, just speckling around, putting in some of the shadows, and then blending that blue in with the BG or the V, depending on where it is. And I just went back and forth between the BG and the B colors, just to kind of go, to get a nice blend. And then once I have that the way I like it, I'm now bringing back that V17, and I'm adding dots to kind of cross the divide. So now he's got some purpley, scaly parts to his aqua area, and the blue really helped to kind of make that transition work better. Blend that a little more with the V12, and there he is. He's all set. After I colored the little girl, and she's colored in reds and blue violets, I cut them both out using scissors because I want to kind of move it around a little bit. So since she's riding the dragon, I want her between his two wings. So I'm cutting that back wing off. You wouldn't see it because she is in front of that. And there she is. She can now sit between his two wings. And I decided to pull the wing down so that you could see her even more, and he's going to be flying. So here he is sitting straight, and then here he is in the air flying. So you really get to see the little girl with his wing down. Well, let's start putting this whole thing together. So I'm ink blending with a little faded jeans, the castle parts, just to kind of round them out a bit. And I didn't even have to cut all the pieces, just want to indicate that there is a castle that's poking up over the cloud line. So it's a very tall castle, and the little girl is going to be flying with her pet dragon above the castle. So yeah, she's got to get out of that castle once in a while. So her dragon is gonna help her do that. So I'm gonna figure out where everything's gonna go on the camera, and I'm using that cloud border to kind of see how things are gonna look, where they end up, and just position everything where I want it to go. Once I have that where I like it, I'll start gluing everything down. And I want to use the glue because it's very strong, and I have that modeling paste in the background, and I want to make sure that it adheres well. Also putting on the little details like the windows, and making sure everything's just right, and clipping off the little excess pieces that are coming off the bottom. All right, now I can put on those tiny little flags, and I'm using glue again because it's going to hold it well. And the glue tube, that tip is just helps you to get a really fine line. So it's very easy to get those flags on there. And now here are the clouds, and we've got our base all set. Now this is the flash that comes with the camera add-on set. And I cut that out of silver sparkle cardstock from the holiday pack. Now I can take off the circle from the middle of the camera, set that aside. I have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch note card, and I'm going to put that back panel on there with some adhesive tape. Make sure it's all straight. I'm going to put the iris on the back of the camera. And so I can put adhesive all around the top of that iris, and then put it in a closed position so that I know where it's going to sit on the card, because when it's closed, it needs to be where the tab is fully on the card. It's not hanging off at all, so that you can get it in an envelope. So I am actually going to put some foam tape on the back of the iris. Now you only want to put adhesive on those stabilizers because you need area for the mechanism to move. And so this is where I did it a little wrong. So I just told you that you need to have it closed to make sure that the tab is on the card without coming off the side. And here I am positioning it with the iris open, which I need to do to see where that center circle is going to be, but after I get that camera positioned on the panel. All right, well, meanwhile, I'm going to put the dragon and his little friend onto that center piece. And the reason I popped up my iris with foam tape is because I have that modeling paste on there, which is a little thick, and I didn't want that to interfere with opening and closing the iris on my middle circle. All right, well, here I realize that I have the camera nicely centered in the middle, but the tab is too high, so I need to pull it off and pull out that center circle, and I just need to bring the camera down. Make sure now with the iris closed that it's at a good place on the card, and it is. So I can open up the iris and put in my center circle. The Magic Iris Camera Pull Tab add-on has a lens, and this is the outside of that lens. And I tried a couple of colors and decided on peacock for that. And now I'm going to put the button together, which is peacock and silver sparkle, and some more silver sparkle to go behind the little hole there. Just put some glue on the edges and put it on the camera there. I'm going to put a little foam tape to build up this button, actually 2 pieces, so that it rises up to the height. It's actually a little bit lower, but it's a good distance for the camera. It looks a little 3D that way. And I'm going to put some peacock cardstock on top of that pull tab, and this piece of pull tab also comes with the Magic Iris camera add-on because it needs to be longer than the regular Magic Iris. Here it is opening and closing. And what to do with the sentiment? Well, I thought this looked perfect in the center of the iris, but this is not the time to do that. I should have done that a while before assembling everything, but I decided to chance it, so I put it in the MISTI and made sure it was well powdered, and then using some clear ink, I'll ink up that sentiment and stamp it down. Now there is adhesive all around that top circle, so I have to be careful when I lift that up, and also putting this powder on. Make sure that my sentiment is right where it should be, and I'm trying really hard just to get powder on the sentiment itself. And then instead of just trying to dump it off, I'm going to put this coffee filter on top and flip it as quick as I can, just so that the powder stays in the middle. And it doesn't just stay in the middle, but it's okay. Just gotta start working at brushing off the little bits of powder. I'm not worried about the circle with the adhesive because that will be covered, but just coming in with a couple little tools, a brush and a pick, and getting the little pieces off from around the letters of the sentiment. Well, there it is, heated up, it worked fine, and so now I'm going to put new adhesive on that circle, and I can put my camera on top. Phew, it worked. Not the best timing for embossing a sentiment, but it worked just fine. All right, so here she is off on her nighttime adventure, and as the sentiment says, may your day also be filled with adventure. I hope you enjoyed the card today and it inspired you to have an adventure making a Magic Iris camera card for yourself. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.